Hey garden friends, we are at the Huntington Library Gardens and it's just gorgeous. I'm in the rose garden right now. There is so much here, there's no way I could do a complete tour for you. So I'm going to touch on some of the highlights and give you an idea what it's like. So let's get going. You could hear over the fountain, but isn't this beautiful? A little sitting area, circle. And an interesting fact is, you see those archways or arbors? Those were made from plumbing, the plumbing of the original house. Before this house was built, this is actually the tea house, but the house here at Huntington Gardens, there was another house. And when they took it down, Mr. Huntington was very frugal and wanted them to reuse whatever they could. And so they made the plumbing into arbors, which you gotta love a good repurpose. So here's some roses. Tons of roses. I may bore you to death, but it's so fortunate they have the names. This one is Good as Gold. It's a hybrid tea. Social climber. I have seen this one listed as a very healthy climber. It's only got one bloom or a couple blooms at top up there. And then there's more along here. Let's see. Fruity Petals. It's a climber. It's reblooming beautifully. Nice bud. Look at that. Now you'll see some with Huntington name. And they said they developed several of their own roses. This one is called Perfumed Breeze. I've seen a few of these. And look at this. Beautiful blooms. You'll have all these little paths that take off from the main path with little benches and more arbors. Oh, that's not only an arbor, it has a little back. Let me see. So it's kind of a little cover completely. That is really cute. I'll have to save that. So Slater's Crimson China, California form, 1790. How interesting. I wonder if you could actually find one of those. I'm sure it would be easy to get starts from. Look at that. That is very pretty. Here's a found Angels Camp White. Ah, I live near Angels Camp. How interesting that they would have one. This must be a lot of very old roses through here. So I'm going to keep walking. And then I will come back and give you a highlight. Forgive the background noise, they're redoing the tea house, but look at this. Let me get out of it. This is called the green rose. Now it's not gorgeous like the colors, but it's from China, 1845, and that's just very, very interesting, isn't it? This, if it'll focus in on it, is Lavender Crush. I'm loving that, how it's got the deep lavender on the outside of the petals. Now that's the structure I had been walking under. Pergola all along there, and then you can see how much or how many roses they have in this rose garden. Look at all these yellow roses here. Hopefully in the glare you can see it. I'm loving that they have so many vintage roses here. It's just wonderful. And you have the names and the dates and the type of rose it is. So it's right up my alley. Look at that one over there, climbing that. Isn't that, look, it goes all the way up. Beautiful. That's obviously very hardy and a good doer. This one is Cocktail. It says it's a shrub, but it sure is making a really good climber. America. My grandmother loved this one. I think I love that salmony color too. I may have to add it to my garden. This is one I've been wanting to add to my garden. Now these blooms have been a little scorched from the heat, Next week it'll cool down, so the next blooms will be beautiful, but it's good to know that it does hold on to its color. Forgive my shadow, but so it is to cool down like 10, 15, even 20 degrees next week. So these will really shine as those new buds open, and hopefully they'll get out here to deadhead, and then it will bloom on until they really cut them back in January. This is a hybrid tea, and I'm loving it, but I can't really grow hybrid teas well because of my climate. But this one is called Secret, and it's just so hale and hearty here. I love it. This is a hedge of Jump for Joy. Aren't they beautiful? They seem to take the heat well, which is good. The blooms don't scorch that easy. And that's, in this climate, would be very helpful. I like how they planted this blue ground cover with these red, or all these roses. The one is called Drop Dead and the other is Meredith on this side. It looks like the same on the other. I think this is the new ground cover I just put in, but I'm not certain. I'm sure I could get something that would identify it for me, but it sure is outstanding. Let's get another view of the rose garden. It goes in all different directions, but it is so beautiful. The white right there in front of us, a mass of them, that's iceberg and pink iceberg, which I have a tree rose. That is that selection. And they do have some David Austins in here. Lots of vintage roses, which I'm thrilled with. Love the little temple. And then look at this little arch arbor room over the bench. That's really pretty. So I'm just going to walk around and enjoy. Record this rose. There's just too many to get them all, but this one is called Spiced Coffee. It's a hybrid tea, so it wouldn't do well for me, but isn't that interesting? I do have one hybrid tea. I have to keep in a pot and pamper, but I may be tempted to get this one. I have the Coco Loco, which has coloring that's unusual like this. This one has a more amber tone where the Coco Loco almost leans towards lavender, but I do like that one. And I just ordered Lady of Shalott, and that's it down there. So hopefully it will grow as beautiful as this one. I shouldn't say that. I have one English rose, David Austin rose, that has gotten large like this, and it's in a spot. I just threw it on a back hillside, and it loved it back there. So it must be hotter or, I don't know, grown tougher back there. Oh, look at these alströmerias. Aren't they beautiful? They will grow in my area. I've got to get the ones I have into the ground, and I have high hopes for them. So we will see. I love them planted like this, almost like a hedge, next to a hedge. Hey garden friends, I've wandered around the rose garden. It's very big. Lots and lots of roses, which are gorgeous. I just did a few highlights because this would go on for hours if I did them all. But I want to head over to the Japanese garden now and the Chinese garden, both which are quite lovely. And of course they have the things I love, like, bamboo. So let's take a quick trip over there. Like I said, this is just an overview. This garden needs, I think, days and days to really absorb it all. So sometime maybe my husband and I will come down for a couple days and take it in. But let's go to the Japanese garden really quick. First, I'm going to show you some roses that are doing really pretty. Can you see through there? Look at those. This is just filled with loads and loads of roses. I'm standing in the shade. It's quite warm today, but all the roses seem to be putting on their fall flush of bloom. This is in Southern California, so they will probably bloom on through November, possibly. I don't know about December, only because the amount of daylight hours we have changes and not because of the temperatures. And then I do believe down in this area, they prune their roses back hard in January, not because they're not blooming or growing, but because that's the coolest month, and it kind of puts them into a forced dormancy so that they will put energy into getting ready for a beautiful spring bloom, which probably starts about March. So anyways, let's head over, like I said, to the Japanese garden.